Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. We're going to call, the first item on the agenda is to call the meeting of Tulsa International Airport Development Trust special meeting, Thursday, May 13th, 2021. Call the meeting to order and call the roll.
Ken Harrell,
Here,
Mary Smith Crofts,
Here.
Jeff Stava,
Here.
Stan Saleh, not here. Michael Willis, not here. Kyan Camus.
Here.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a quorum. We have a quorum.
we have a quorum.
Yep.
Very good. All right, first item is to approve the minutes of the September 10th, 2020 meeting of TAIT. Do I have a motion?
Move approval, item 1. Mary
Jeff-
Smith.
Jeff Stava, second.
All those in favor?
Oh, we have to
Oh, we have to call the roll.
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
Ken Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Kyan Camus.
I'll abstain since I wasn't present.
Okay.
Motion passes. Item 2, approve the minutes of the May 5th, 2021 special meeting of TIDT. Call the roll.
Move approval.
Oh, I need a motion. I need a-
Move approval, number 2, Jeff Stava.
okay.
Second, Cayenne Camus.
All right. Ken Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Kyan Camus.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Item number 3.
So item number 3 is to approve an invoice in the amount of $75,816.48. And this is to reimburse TAIT for costs and expenses that we have incurred associated with the TIF districts, setting them up, surveying, engineering costs, legal's the big one, and archaeological services. We have incurred these costs over time and are taking a section of it each year or so, requesting reimbursement as funds grow in the TIF accounts. And so this is requesting reimbursement to TAIT for that amount, which is about 25% of what is owed.
About 25%.
Yeah.
Okay, item 3, do we have any questions, comments?
No, this is Stan Saleh, and I want to make sure y'all knew it was in attendance.
All right. Thank you very much. Noted.
You bet.
This is Mary Smith. Move approval, item 3.
This is
Jeff
Cayenne,
Stava,
second.
second.
All right. All those in favor, we're going to call the roll.
Ken Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Stan Saleh,
Aye.
Kyan Camus.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Very good. Item 4.
So item 4 is to approve a resolution to designate and name TIF increment districts temporarily named B and C under our TIF project plan, and to make the said resolution effective immediately upon approval. So TIF District B is shown on the graphic there, includes everything along Mingo Drive. You can see it includes like Spirit Air System, the base, the Air National Guard, and then everything to the east of that, about halfway to 169. This is important because our lease that TAIT approved last month falls within this TIF district. So we want to trigger it so that we can start preparing to collect on the increment that will be generated once that project is complete. TIF District C is located there on the southeast corner of the airport property. This is actually City of Tulsa land, the majority of it. It includes Air Force Plant 3, Imperial Coffees there. We have Spirit Aerosystems that leases some land. There's not a lot of room for development in that area today. However, as our tenants or the city's tenants start making improvements to those facilities, we wanted to be able to capture that personal property increment that will be generated. So we are recommending approval of item number 4.
Do we have any questions on item 4?
Alexis, I assume you guys are working with Leslie on the ordinances to activate the TIF and both TIFs. And is there anything that our team can do to assist to move those forward?
So we have been working with Leslie and Jeff Saban, and they've already had conversations with the city team regarding this action.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion.
Move
Mary Smith.
approval.
Second,
Jeff Stava.
second, Mary.
Okay, I have a motion by Jeff Stava and a second by Mary Smith Crofts.
Call the roll.
Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Stan Saleh,
Aye.
Tyne Camus,
Uh-oh. Did we lose Cayenne?
Some of those technical problems.
Cayenne, I think you're on mute if you voted.
Tyne Camus.
Aye.
Got it. Thank you. Motion
Sorry, I
passed.
think my internet went out. I apologize. We're working from Wi-Fi since, because of
Oh,
the cyber
I forget
attack.
that, right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, item 4 passes. Any new TAIT business? There being no new business, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mary Smith Cross.
Second, Stan Saleh.
Call the roll.
Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Stan Saleh.
Aye.
Tyne Camus,
Aye.
adjourned
We stand adjourned.
at 8:37.
Okay, we're now going to call.
Thanks, Stan.
Okay. We're now going to call to order the combined meeting, the Tulsa Airport Improvement Trust special meeting and the Tulsa Airport Authority regular meeting. Can I call the roll?
Yes, sir. Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Tyne Camus,
Aye.
Okay. All right, item 2, approve the minutes of the combined meeting of April the 8th, 2021, meeting of TAIT and TAA.
Move approval, Mary Smith Cross.
Dies for lack of a second.
Second, Jeff Stava.
thank you.
Call the roll.
Kent Harrell,
Yes.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Yes.
Jeff Stava,
Yes.
Tyne Camus,
This is the
Yes.
mayor. I also vote yes.
Good morning, Your Honor.
And I will bow out now that the real mayor is here.
We go to item number 3. You want to do that? Okay, item number 3, approve the minutes of our combined meeting, May 5th of this year, meeting of TAIT and TAA. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Mary Smith Cross.
Second, Jeff Stava.
Kent Harrell,
Yes.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Yes.
Jeff Stava,
Yes.
Mayor Bynum.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 4, financial and operating reports. Ms. Mason.
I will kick things off. It's been a great few weeks since the last meeting. We've had a lot of good news. Just to reiterate from our last meeting, we closed on a lease for 42 acres. That's the largest non-aeronautical development on airport property in our history. So congratulations to Jonathan and his team, and Jeff spent a lot of time on that as well. It's exciting and hopefully the first of many more going forward. On Monday, we announced that American Airlines is increasing the frequency of their flights to Los Angeles. They will have 2 flights a day now to the LA area. And that's just a reflection of the fact that our passengers are coming back. and they're wanting to travel. And so if you have family in the LA area that's wanting to come to Tulsa this summer, it's a lot easier for them to come. And then same for us, if we want to head that way, you can leave as early as 5 a.m. and get to LA at 9 a.m. And have a full day there. We just welcomed back a new exhibit, or a returning exhibit to the airport. The Black Wall Street exhibit is on display in Schwab Hall. This is part of our outreach efforts for our cultural advisory group programming. And we're going to have 2 exhibits in the airport terminal that are related to the Greenwood Art Project. The second one, I think, will be announced in a month or so. And then yesterday, also related to CAG, an artist started painting a mural at the exit to Concourse B that's titled Oklahoma Welcomes You. And it's a partnership with the Oklahoma Arts Council. It's a very vibrant mural. And we posted some pictures online. So if you all haven't seen it, check out our Facebook page. Yes, on Tuesday, we hosted our required annual emergency response training exercise. This was a hybrid tabletop event, so it was a little challenging, but we had great participation. We had representatives from organizations. We had several airlines, United, FedEx was here, Omni, and it was just an exercise for all of our emergency responders to go through the steps that they would take in the event of an aircraft emergency here at the airport. Our passenger activity is picking up. I'm not going to steal Fabio's thunder, but we did have a good month in the month of April. We expect that to continue this summer through May. TSA is opening the pre-check lane full time by Memorial Day. All of our concessionaires, we've asked them to have their restaurants and shops open by Memorial Day weekend. I think the biggest challenge that we're having, and this is not unique to the airport, is just finding people. And so we are hosting a job fair on May 25th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and we're inviting all of our tenants to come out and participate. The airport is also in the process of starting to look at those critical vacancies that we've had. We currently have 5 positions posted on our website where we're trying to gear our staff back up to normal operating levels. I think the last thing I just wanted to remind everybody is that the mask ordinance is still in effect here at the airport. We've had a lot of people coming in to pick people up, and because we're under the federal guidance on this issue, you still have to have a mask when you're in the terminal building. And so I first want to thank the mayor for mentioning that in his press conference at the end of April. But with more and more people starting to come, we provide masks. So if you don't have one, just stop by our information desks. We literally have thousands of masks available for people who don't have one with them. But with that, I can turn it over to Fabio. Is Fabio there?
He was here.
He was here, yeah.
There he is. Fabio, you're on.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Okay, so James, if I could get the financial, thank you. So today I'll be going over our fiscal year to date through March 21, comparing it to where we were as of March 20 and the monthly comparatives. As you can see, we had a pretty good month of March. Our revenues are only about 4% lower than they were last March, about $120,000 difference between March over March, but still a little bit lower. Fiscal year to date, we're down about 29%, which is about a $9.2 million deficit from where we were this time last year. It's important to remember that we did start to feel the full effects of the pandemic in April. However, we did have a lot of activity reductions in the end of March, so we're kind of trickling down towards the full effect. Our expenses about 4% higher than they were last March, $67,000, and that's basically attributed to some incentives that were paid out to employees. We had some retirements that took place in March, and we had other expenses associated with residual effects of the February storm, some R&M to snow equipment. Our net operating income before depreciation, 15% lower than it was last March, and about 45% lower than it was last year, about $6.7 million reduction. And that NOI goes towards our debt service and our capital purchases. So the cash on hand is really fronting the debt service, a good portion of the debt service at this point. Food and beverage down slightly 3%, not as well as our retail, but still down. And it's down about 3%, 67% for the fiscal year. Retail was up. We had a good, strong retail month, taking advantage of our spring breaks. 46% increase, 40% down for the year. And combined, the food, beverage, and retail are down about $4.8 million from where they were fiscal year to date last year. Our parking activity saw an increase in ticket pulls and revenue, but still down about 56 and 58% respectively. And our ground transportation was down 33 to 63% fiscal year to date. Our rent-a-car transaction days did not fare as well as our food and beverage. They were down 24% in the month of March and 50% fiscal year to date. It's important to note that the rental cars have a rental car shortage. They liquidated some of their inventory during the pandemic and are having struggles to refill that inventory. Operations at RVS increased by 18%, bringing the deficit of the fiscal year down only 9%, about just under 13,000 less transactions this fiscal year over last. And our fuel flow is a significant increase, 50% above where they were last March, pulling the fiscal year to date up by 7%. In plane passengers, 43% increase for March, again, taking advantage of our spring break and vaccines, but we're still down about 50% from where we were last year. It's about a 520,000 in-plane passenger deficit from prior fiscal year. And our plane cargo saw an increase in March, bringing the deficit down to about negative 8% from where it was, 3.3 million less pounds of cargo for TUL. Next slide, James. This is a more of a drill down version of the month over month fiscal year comparative, different bucket sources of our revenue. As you can see, our airfield was the increase from last year. And that was attributed to the American Airlines parking of aircraft on our airport through the bulk of last fiscal year into this fiscal year. The other area where we saw an increase was RVS, 2% increase, but overall we're still down about 29% from where we were last year. Our expenses faring very well. We've really hit it hard and tightened our belts early on last year and carried that throughout this entire fiscal year. We're 15% lower in our operating expenses than we were last year. That's a savings to the airport of about $2.5 million from year over year. Our debt service, pretty flat, negative 1%. We did start to, refinance last year in the 2020 bonds, which was a forward refinancing, which caused the savings to be recognized in July of the next fiscal year, 21. But we're still down about $4 million from where we should be, 6.6 from where we were last year. Next slide, James. And this is our month-to-month budget comparative fiscal year to date. As you can see, we're still down about 6% from where we anticipated where we'd be over our budget, $1.5 million reduction. Again, the airfield being a gainer, and the RVS, which is about 38% above where we anticipated the revenues to be this time last year, and our passengers a gain of almost $1 million, our passenger aircraft. Our expenses 20% below budget, causing a $3.6 million gain in our favor, which helps increase our net to go towards debt service and capital purchases. We thought we'd be around 6 million. We're actually around 8 million. So we're about 34% ahead of where we thought we'd be with our net before depreciation and debt service. And the final slide, James. This is a cash position snapshot as of April 30th. We have about 18.5 million in unrestricted cash, 268 days of cash on hand. Based on budget, we have a burn rate of 69,000. We are operating below budget, so that'll increase slightly. Next middle portion of the slide just shows where we are as far as debt service, a $16 million debt service for fiscal year 21. We are 10 months into it, 2.6 remaining. With our revenues coming in and our cash on hand, we should be able to cover that without any issues. And our debt service reserve, we have about 13 months of debt service reserve in our bank account for fiscal year 21. Any questions?
Fabio, I thought you were gonna talk about April employments. That's why I
Oh,
said I
yes,
didn't want
I'm
to steal your
sorry.
thunder.
No,
So,
I'm sorry. I can talk about April employments. We had one straggler that prevented us from getting our employment slide in time. We had April employments of 82,115 employing passengers. That was a significant increase from last April, where we barely had 5,100 employments, but we're only about 31% lower than we were in April of 19. So April of 21 was the highest month in our fiscal year. It's slightly lower than where we were February pre-pandemic. So we're seeing a growth from March to April.
Very good, Mark.
yeah. And I think going forward, one of the things Fabio and I have been talking about is presenting the financial data comparative to 2019, because, March and April of 2020 is really when things started, tanking for us. And so to really give you an idea of how we're recovering, it'd be a better metric to compare to those months. So I think going forward, that's what you'll see.
Handicap yourself. If you use 2020, it's gonna look a whole.
I know. Well, I think we'll do both, right? There you go. So.
Are there any more questions for Fabio or Alexis? Very good. We'll go to item 5.
Okay, item 5, receive the draft of the FY 21-22 fiscal year 22 TAIT annual budget to be considered at the June 21 meeting. Earlier this week, you received a draft of the annual budget. If I may, I'd like to present a summary of the annual budget rather. So last year, this time, we presented a budget that was based on reduction in anticipated loss due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With vaccines, we're seeing in recent months increase in activity. We're seeing a sign of recovery. Based on these factors and our air carriers increasing frequency, we've projected a budget where we're starting to show that recovery progress further than we anticipated this time last year. Slide number 2, James. Okay, so we have 5 key metrics that we measure ourselves annually and compare ourselves to our peer airports. The first being our enplaned passengers. In 2020, we were just over 1 million passengers. Fiscal year 21, we've forecast ending our enplaned passengers at about 770,000 enplaned passengers. And based on current forecasts in industry standards and notes, we anticipate reaching a $1 million enplaned passengers by the end of fiscal year 22. The next metric is our landed weight, 1.9 in 20, just about 1.6 in 21. We forecast a 10% increase based on the recent activities of increased frequencies and the increased passenger demand for travel. The next is our CPE, and this is our cost per enplaned passenger, what it costs an airline to operate at TUL. And it's calculated by taking the sum of various terminal and airfield revenue sources that relate to the airfield and are divided by the total enplaned passengers. As our costs go up and our passengers go up, that number fluctuates. But you can see, because of the reduced passenger count in 21, our cost went up. We're forecasting to be pretty much where we were in fiscal year 20, about $10.71 per enplaned passenger. Our revenues, we're forecasting an increase based on current activities and additional leases. And our operating capital budget, last year we really contracted in what we were presenting to the board due to the uncertainties. We deferred about $2.8 million in capital purchases. Unfortunately, once you defer, you're always playing catch up, and that's where we are today. We're going to present to you a operating budget of about 1.5 for TUL, and what that entails is restructuring and reevaluating what our needs were from last year's deferrals to our current needs. So you see that increase of us trying to take advantage of the increase in revenues and trying to catch up to meet our continuing growing demands. RVS, slightly different metrics for general aviation. The number of operations, as you can see, was almost 200,000 in 20. We forecasted to go up to about 176, a 2% increase from prior forecast, and our fuel flow steadily increasing to meet that 2% increase in activities. Our revenue budget for RVS, 845,000 in 21. It's important to note that in March, we've actually exceeded that budget fiscal year to date by about 38%. So we're forecasting a 37% increase. The pandemic did not hit RVS as much or as long as we thought it would. And RVS's operating capital budget, 15,000 in 20. We kind of held tight, figuring we would could use TAIT equipment last year. This year, our capital needs have exceeded $283,000, and I'll get into the summarization of what that makes up. Next slide, James. This slide here is a snapshot of our budget. The beginning cash balance, we're getting about $7.2 million to really kickstart and get the year going. We have PFC and CFC for revenue and debt service of about $5 million, 15% lower than prior year. And our total revenue showing about a 7% increase. Total resources needed for this fiscal year, about 7% greater than last, 47.1 million. And our operating budget operating at a reduction of about 2% from prior year. Our debt service, due to the payment of debt, we had some bonds mature, natural just payment down of debt, and the restructuring we did last year. We're going to recognize about a $937,000 reduction in our debt, bringing us below $16 million for the first time in a few years. Our operating capital and our capital projects, this is a combination of our operating capital purchases, our future 22 projects, as well as our work in process, residual projects that we started last fiscal year and carry forward. So we have about 7.8 million in that, slightly higher than last year, but last year we had the 2018 A bonds. A lot of those projects were forward funded, and they do not go into the budget because our capital for that is already reserved. So about a $4.5 million increase from prior year. The total resources needed and used about 47.1, 7.2% increase. Next slide, James. This slide here is page 11 of your packet that was handed out. This is just kind of a quick highlight summary showing our revenues of 7% increase. Our personal services, we've maintained to keep that flat. And that includes our payroll, our MERP, our taxes, dental insurance, health insurance. We're operating at a budget of 148 positions. However, we have about 26 vacancies at this time. And those vacancies are due to retirements, resignations. And as Alexis mentioned, we are selectively filling some positions. We have not, we're still under technically a hiring freeze where we're just filling essential positions at this moment. Our materials and supplies up slightly, 25%, 370,000 from prior year. What this is attributed to is we're replenishing our de-icing supplies from the snowstorm of last year. We have some security components for building maintenance, rekeying the airport, IT security components, a lot of one-time large charges that don't qualify as capital because we're buying in bulk and the individual unit cost is below the capital threshold. We're also doing carbon air filters on the concourses. These have a 7 to 10 year life cycle, and these are reaching or maxing out on their life cycle. So those will be replaced this fiscal year, as well as we have to upgrade our automated external defibrillators to remain in ADA compliance. The new units require a voice and display screen. Our units currently are have a voice display. These increases attribute to about 87% of that 25%, and the rest is basically just the cost of doing business, cost of materials increasing over the course of the year. Our other services and charges are down about 8%, and this includes all of our contracted services. And our operating capital up about $1.3 million, and I'll I'll go through a summarization of that as well shortly. Total operating capital and expenses, $26 million, leaving us a net of about $8.8 million. And that $8.8 million will go towards our debt service. We do have a $15 million debt service, so the remainder of that will come out of our cash on hand. The CARES Act funding, the first round and the second round, we've used all of the first round. That was used in February, March's expenses, and we've already started to draw on the second round that you approved last month. That is not included in the revenue. That is a non-operating capital grant, but we do reimburse ourselves for operating expenses, and we reappropriate our funding accordingly to cover other needs of the airport. Next slide, James. This is just a brief overview of our revenue streams. We have 7 revenue sources here at the airport, the largest being our parking and rental cars, followed by our second largest is the airfield at 7.5 million, making up about 22% of our revenues. Then we have our terminal at 3.1 million, food and beverage, same 3.1 million, and rounding out the revenue source is RVS at 3%, about 1.1 million. So we just our various revenue sources of the airport divided by what they contribute as far as proportionate share. The next slide, James. The next slide is our summarization of our capital purchases. I'll hit the high points on this slide. This is page 14 and 15 of the packet. I did notice a slight transposition. We fixed it on this slide, but we will push out a revised draft budget for you to review shortly. The high points in this slide, we see a $768,000 IT budget this year. IT covers every aspect of the airport. We've reached the point where we've deferred enough and we have to kind of really pull the trigger on a lot of these projects. The largest one is our network core switches, which basically controls, according to James, everything at the airport. It ties it all together and makes it work. Our fire suppression system computers have reached their useful life. That's 150,000. And then there's also camera system storage and runway temperature sensors for 90,000 apiece. Our next line item is our building maintenance, and we're investing a significant amount, almost $300,000 in our jet bridges. We're replacing our preconditioned air units on 2 of the jet bridges at a total cost of $220,000. We're upgrading our programming logic controls, which basically control the functions of the jet bridge on 2 of them for a total of $14,000. And then because of the age of our jet bridges being between 7 and 10 years, the canopies on the jet bridges, we've had to replace those, and we always keep one in stock. We recently had to replace one, so we're replenishing that acquisition with a $37,000 canopy. And then there's some light equipment and a vehicle in there as well. Again, the details are in your packet. Asset management vehicles, we're purchasing a heavy duty trailer and a refrigerant piece of machinery for our newer vehicles. They've changed the refrigerant restrictions. Electrical, a vehicle, a utility bed pickup truck, and operations airfield, some light duty equipment, a forklift, a laser painter, and a portable compressor are amongst those charges. At Jones, we have a larger budget than normal at Jones, but our equipment is aging at Jones, and we're looking at replacing a 1986 model loader for about $215,000 and a forklift for about $26,000. That forklift is an 84 model. As you can imagine, the maintenance and the parts are very difficult to locate for these 2 pieces of equipment. Small equipment trailer and a paint machine for $35,000 round out that $283,500. And the last of our capital purchases is for Landsat Parking, a ADA compliant shuttle. We have one, but it is getting up there in age and miles. So we're positioning ourselves for the future with one ADA compliant shuttle and a replacement of an older shuttle for just a regular passenger shuttle for about $91,000. $188,500 total for that line item. Next slide, James. And this is kind of a new to the board slide. We always talk about our capital purchases in summary, but we felt the need, because we're investing so much in our infrastructure here at TUL and the RVS, we felt the need to kind of highlight these projects. This slide is just a snapshot of what new projects are coming for FY22. The one column there, the FAA column, the FAA will be contributing to TUL and RVS respectively a total of $9.5 million in capital improvements to the airport. These include perimeter road rehabilitation and construction, new snow equipment, new ARF equipment, connecting taxiway rehabilitation for RVS 1 left, 19 right, to maintain FAA compliance, as well as the master plan at RVS. TUL, we're contributing about $5 million of those projects. The first one you notice is escalators for $800,000. That will replace the remaining escalators for TUL. We've gradually, over the course of the last few years, have replaced these escalators. A lot of them, it was very difficult to find the parts. We were having to have the parts manufactured, creating a lot of inconsistencies for the use of these passengers in escalators and inconvenience to our passengers. The concourse A and B escalators will be replaced as a part of the remodeling of the lower level concourses. Currently, we have 2 lower level concourses that are very underutilized spaces. For FAA compliance, we will be adding a service animal relief area and a lactation room. And for passenger convenience and to remain in ADA compliance, we'll be installing a family restroom, a sensory room, and a quiet room in these 2 spaces, enhancing our customer experience. The other large item is the $800,000 replacement of our canopy, kind of our signature landmark here at the airport. This will be the first major investment in that canopy since it was installed in 2001. If you look at it from a building maintenance standpoint and an engineering eye, the canopy has outlived its useful life, and it's time to replace it. There's patches and wear marks that eventually will be beyond repair. Another investment in our airport infrastructure is a common use system for about $300,000. This is an installation of common use equipment at select airport ticket counters and gates for identical equipment needs to process passengers for departing flights. This project will also increase the airport's flexibility for the future. As our infrastructure remains consistent, our airline demands continue to increase and change. This will position us for the future to meet those demands without having to struggle within our building constraints. And RVS, in addition to the master plan and the runway work, taxiway work, we are entering into a conceptual design and construction. RVS, as you're aware, is the busiest airport in the state of Oklahoma, with thousands of people passing through that airport. And we're going to refresh the signage and landscape design of RVS. If you look at page 17 of your packet, total investment from our work in process of about $1.1 million. We're investing an additional $12 million from capital purchases between FAA projects and TUL funded projects. So about 27.3 collectively from prior year and current year being invested in our airport. Next slide, James. And this is a summarization of the fiscal year 22's debt service, 4.7 PFC debt, 2.3 of CFC and other revenue sources, about $8 million for a total of $15 million. It's important to note that our PFC debt, with the incoming revenues from PFCs and our reserve account, we are able to cover our PFC debt on a monthly basis. However, we are nearing a point in the end of this fiscal year where we will deplete our resources and possibly have to forward fund that with our operating revenues. We're at that point with our CFCs. We've used all of our reserve for CFCs. The CFCs, because of the rent-a-car shortage, are not coming in at the level they need to cover debt. So we're forward funding that with our revenue account. And once we start to see an increase in CFCs to cover the debt service and build up that reserve again, we'll start reimbursing ourselves. But our total debt for next fiscal year, just over $15 million. And the next slide, James. This slide is just showing the transition of our debt, stair stepping down with the refinancing, restructuring of debt. We're below $16 million for the first time in a few years. The next major progression will be 22, where we're below 14, and so on. We continue to review with Mike Newman of Hilltop Securities to see if there's potential refinancing. We were working on a second refinancing at the time the pandemic hit in March, which kind of put that on hold. But we're continuously working with them to see if there's any opportunities for us to refinance for interest rate savings, not increasing the term, but saving us interest on our debt. At this point, we haven't come across anything that's significant, but we are working with them closely on a weekly and monthly basis. And the last slide, James. Every year, as part of the budget, we review our rates, fees, and charges. We look at where we are, what we need to continue to operate efficiently, and if there's any areas in which we need to add rates, fees, and charges. Looking at our rates, fees, and charges and working with our Landsat Parking partners, we determined that we have kind of a hole in our monthly valet parking. We have demand, but our rate that we were charging wasn't really specific to valet, and it was undervaluing the service that valet provides. Working with LAS and internally, we determined a $500 per month monthly fee for those who wish to be frequent valet users was adequate. It's $1.56 below the daily rate, and it allows for unlimited use of our valet system throughout the month. The next change we made, and it was in our covered reserve parking. We determined we were undervaluing our non-specific space, so we increased that by about $25 a month, still well below the $18 per day access by about $1.56. And again, this allows for unlimited access in and out of our parking garage throughout the month. Another area where we determined we had a gap was in our movement area and SITA company violations. We've experienced occurrences where people who are allowed on the airfield to enter the movement area without the proper authorization, therefore creating an FAA recordable vehicle pedestrian incident. Thus, we needed to add a significant penalty to help mitigate those issues. The first offense is $1,000. It stair steps up. Hopefully, we don't have to go beyond the first offense. And another line item that we felt we needed where we had a gap was our operating service fees of $500 per occurrence. This basically is for our tenant-specific uses. We have tenants that will, or guests of our tenants that will contact the airport needing an escort to their facilities. And this takes away from our airfield operations agents' normal duties, such as escorting a tenant or guest in and out of the secured area. So we felt a service charge for this would help mitigate this distraction or unnecessary additional duty for our agents. RVS, we have annual increases due to our implicit price index, IDPI. This is an older metric that was used in the airport industry. In 2017, we brought to you the CPI, Consumer Price Index. This is where the industry has moved toward, and all of our new hangar leases for commercial and private are based on CPI increases, where the older ones are based on IDPI. And this is just our annual increase in that rate structure. Are there any questions?
Okay, no questions. Thank you, Fabio. That's good presentation. We don't need a motion to accept the proposed budget this time. It will be on the agenda for our June meeting. Item 6.
Frank is up.
Sorry about that. I was on mute. Good morning. I think I'm going to go ahead and withdraw items 6 and 7 at this time.
Okay, item 6 is withdrawn. Item 7.
He's withdrawing that too.
Item 7 is withdrawn, please, also.
Okay. Moving right along. Item 8.
Item 8 is accept, bid, and approve award of contract for aircraft rescue and firefighting ARF vehicle to Rosenbauer, Minnesota LLC, contingent upon FAA funding in the amount up to $764,873.39. This purchase will replace a vehicle that was purchased in 2006. We received 2 bids. Engineer's estimate was $880,000 and a low bid was 13% below engineer's estimate. And we recommend approval of 8.
Questions about item 8? Call the roll for, I have a motion to approve item 8.
So moved, Mary Smith Crofts.
Second, Jeff Stava.
Call the roll.
Thank you. Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Cross,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item number 9. Item number 8 passes, by the way. Item number 9.
Item 9 is accept bid and approve award of contract for multitasking snow removal equipment to MB Companies Incorporated, contingent upon FAA grant funding in the amount up to $2,241,155. This purchase will be for 3 multitasking units. It'll be a plow broom combination. Those 3 new pieces of equipment will replace 1995 model dump trucks and pull behind brooms as old as 1998. We received 1 bid, but that 1 bid was 32% below engineer's estimate. Management recommends approval of item 9.
Are there any questions on item 9? No? Do I have a motion to approve item 9?
Mary Smith, move approval item 9.
Second, Jeff Stava.
Call the roll.
Thank you. Kent Harrell,
Yes.
Mary Smith Cross,
Yes.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum.
Aye.
Item 9 passes. Item 10.
Item 10 is accept selection of and approve award of design services contract for perimeter road rehabilitation project with Park Hill, Smith and Cooper Incorporated, contingent upon FAA grant funding and an amount not to exceed $197,000. Park Hill, Smith and Cooper will develop plans and specifications for rehabilitating the perimeter road here at TUL. Management recommends approval.
Any questions on item 10? Do I have a motion?
So Jeff Stava, so moved.
Second, Mary Smith.
Call the roll.
Thank you. Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Cross,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum.
Aye.
Item 10 passes.
Item 10 passes. Item number 11.
Item number 11 is accept selection and approve award of professional services contract for the RVS Master Plan Update Project to RS&H Incorporated, contingent upon FAA grant funding in the amount not to exceed $607,229. The last master plan down at Riverside was performed in 2006, and it's time that we update that. I would like to comment that items 8, 9, 10, and 11 are all federally funded projects. It is a 90-10 split, 90% FAA AIP funding, 10% TAIT funded. But due to the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, that act will pick up TAIT's 10% of funding. So with that, I'd like to go ahead and recommend approval of item 11 as well.
Jeff, do I understand that they have taken off the 10% that we have to pay, or that we've requested it?
Negative. They have not reduced it by 10%. What the FAA, the AIP funding will pay for 90% of the projects. And due to the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, that is derived due to COVID, I believe, that will pick up our 10% of these 4 projects.
Yes. Okay, do I have a motion on item 11?
Move approval item 11, Mary Smith Crofts.
Second, Jeff Stava.
Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Yes.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum,
Aye.
11 pass.
Item 11 passes. We have no contract amendments and no change orders and no change in quantities on other actions. Property development leases and concessions, item number 12.
Yes, sir. Item number 12 is approve a cargo facility sublease agreement with Quantum Aviation Services for 3 years at the standard rate effective May 1st. Quantum is a ground handling company that handles a lot of cargo, and they were subleasing from another tenant for quite a while and decided to now lease directly from us. So that's a good sign that they'll continue on, and we recommend approval.
Any questions on number 12? Do I have a motion?
Move
Jeff
approval
Stava.
item 12, Mary Smith Crofts.
Second, Jeff Stava.
I have a motion from Mary Smith Crofts and a second from Jeff Stava.
Call the roll.
Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum,
Aye.
motion passes.
Item 13.
I'm actually going to take 13, 14, and 15 together as it's the same hangar at RVS. We're approving the assignment of sublease from Chad J. Williams and Karen Chandler to Juliet Whiskey LLC. Then we will terminate that sublease and create a new sublease with Juliet Whiskey LLC at the new rates and effective June 1st, 2021. And management recommends approval of 13, 14, and 15.
Do I have a motion on items 13, 14, and 15?
Move approval 13, 14, 15, Mary Smith Crofts.
Second, Jeff Stava.
Call the roll.
Thank you. Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Motion passes. Item number 16.
Item number 16, I believe, is the last commercial operator at RVS that we will have to get the subtenants for. Over the last few months, we have been collecting all the subtenants to ensure we know who is on our airport at RVS and Kavu Aviation. And these are all their subtenants, and we recommend approval.
Questions on item 16? Do I have a motion?
Move approval item 16, Mary Smith Crofts, and congratulations, Jonathan.
Second, Jeff Stava.
All right, call the roll.
Thank you. Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum.
Aye.
Do we have any new TAIT business?
Frank was asking for the FAA grants. They notified him that they want to do one grant.
Okay.
So can we do a preliminary acceptance of that grant, or is that maybe next month?
Don't want to do one
One full grant for all the projects.
for all of our projects.
I think we have to wait.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. We're gonna wait, Frank.
Okay.
Okay, any new TAA business? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Jeff Stava.
Second, Mary Smith Crofts.
Call the roll.
Thank you. Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 9:24.
The next one is going to be fairly quick. We're calling to order the Tulsa Municipal Airport Trust Special Meeting, May 13th, 2021. Call the roll.
Thank you. Kent Harrell,
Here.
Mary Smith Crofts,
Here.
Jeff Stava,
Here.
Mayor Bynum.
Here.
Thank you.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the December 10th, 2020 meeting of TMAT?
So moved, Mary Smith Crofts.
Second, Jeff Stava.
Call the roll.
Kent Harrell,
Yes.
Mary Smith Crofts,
yes,
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum,
Aye.
Item number 3, we're going to
we're going to withdraw item number 3.
withdraw.
Yes.
Okay, item number 3 is withdrawn. Do we have any new business? There's no new business. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Jeff Stava.
Second,
I have a motion from Jeff Stava and a second from Mary Smith Crofts.
Call the roll.
Kent Harrell,
Aye.
Mary Smith Crofts,
aye.
Jeff Stava,
Aye.
Mayor Bynum.
Aye.
Adjourned.
Adjourn. Thank you very much.
Thank
ladies and gentlemen.
You.